Thank you again, everyone, for coming to this Sunday service. Today we are celebrating Jeol and Jeol. So, to begin, we will be doing a pledge service today. So we will begin with Gyeongbae to our Heavenly Parent and true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind. So if you would all face front. 전진 참 부모님께 경배 바로. And we will be reading the family pledge. So family pledge number 1. Our family, the owner of Chanoguk, pledges to seek our original homeland and build the kingdom of God on earth and in heaven, the original ideal of creation by centering on true love. 2. Hold on. 2. Our family, the owner of Chanoguk, pledges to represent and become central to heaven and earth by attending the Heavenly Parent and true parents. We pledge to perfect the dutiful family way of filial sons and daughters in our family, patriots in our nation, saints in the world, and divine sons and daughters in heaven and earth by centering on true love. 3. Our family, the owner of Chanoguk, pledges to perfect the 4 great realms of heart, the 3 great kingships, and the realm of the royal family by centering on true love. 4. Our family, the owner of Chanoguk, pledges to build the universal family encompassing heaven and earth, which is God's ideal of creation, and perfect the world of freedom, peace, unity, and happiness by centering on true love. 5. Our family, the owner of Chanoguk, pledges to strive every day to advance the unification of the spirit world and the physical world by subject and object partners by centering on true love. 6. Our family, the owner of Chanoguk, pledges to become a family that moves heavenly fortune by embodying the Heavenly Parent and true parents, and to perfect a family that conveys heaven's blessing to our community by centering on true love. 7. Our family, the owner of Chanoguk, pledges through living for the sake of others to perfect the world based on the culture of heart, which is rooted in the original lineage by centering on true love. 8. Our family, the owner of Chanoguk, pledges having entered the era of Chanoguk to achieve the ideal of God and human beings united in love through absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience, and to perfect the realm of liberation and complete freedom in the kingdom of God on earth and in heaven by centering on true love. All right, now I will invite up Pastor Augustine for a prayer and a reading.
All right, this is a reading for the day of Jeol, the Declaration Day of God's Eternal Blessing, declared July 1st, 1991, renamed the Declaration Day of the Victory of God's Eternal Blessing on July 1st, 2000. This is the day when true parents who fulfilled the responsibilities of restoration in vertical as well as horizontal 8 stages declared the initiation of a providence that allowed blessed families to inherit the victorious realm of true parents' love. By declaring Jeol, true parents stated that the era of the parents' responsibility has ended, and that the era of the children's responsibility began. The era of the children's responsibility is an era where blessed families inherit true parents' realm of victory as tribal messiahs. It is said that this day is also Declaration Day for tribal messiahs, as it was hoped that the blessed families of the whole world would start on their path as full-fledged tribal messiahs in accordance with the declaration of Jeol. True Father said, all blessed families must not forget that there is a mission for all of you to complete. You need to establish a realm of victory that even Satan cannot remove by establishing the standard for restoration of the right of the elder son, the right of the parent, and the right of kingship that Adam and Eve had lost. And then on July 8th, the day of Jeol, the declaration of the realm of the cosmic Sabbath for the parents of heaven and earth, declared July 7th, 1997 by the heavenly calendar. This is the day when it was declared that the era in which God could exercise full authority had arrived. It became possible because of the establishment of the realm of God's Sabbath, with the victory of the 3.6 million couples blessing, which was a worldwide blessing ceremony at the completion stage. True Parents declared Jeol on July 7th of 1997 of the heavenly calendar, August 9th by the solar calendar, at 7 seconds past 7:07 a.m., when True Father's age was 77. The combination of 8 different occurrences of the number 7, the number of rest, represented the restoration of the number 7 and entered into the realm of the cosmic Sabbath. After the declaration of the realm of the cosmic Sabbath, the True Parents were able to stand in a completely free position. The realm of the cosmic Sabbath represents the realm that goes beyond Satan's accusations. True Parents brought about the era when God would be able to exercise full authority as he originally should have. All right, at this time I'll offer a prayer. Please join me. Our Heavenly Parent and our True Parents, thank you so much for this beautiful day where you have brought each and every one of us together as a family and as a community to celebrate a Sunday and to celebrate these holy days of Jeol and Jeol. Our Heavenly Parent, every day truly is a precious gift. Every day is holy and worth celebrating. But at this time, we want to honor days that were truly significant, I think. These days of celebration of completion and victory, these days where you were able to say that all the work that you had done throughout all of human history had come to fruition, and you could finally say, it is done, in a way. This day of Jeol, when you were celebrating the end of the era of the parents' responsibility and the beginning of the children's responsibility. This was your hope all throughout human history, not because you wanted to burden us, but because you wanted to give us the gift of full freedom and responsibility of our own lives and stewardship over the earth. And so, Heavenly Parent, this is really a day that was so joyful for you to be able to say at last that it is time for my children to really take the lead. And similarly with the day of Jeol, the day of the restoration of the Sabbath was the day in which you wanted to rest, not because you were tired of working tirelessly, but because you really wanted to see all the wonderful things that your children would be able to do when they were given the reins. So our Heavenly Parents, today we want to celebrate these days and really honor how much work our True Parents and how much you, our Heavenly Parent, have done to make this victory possible. And so with enormous gratitude to our Heavenly Parent and to our True Parents and to our True Father and to our Holy Mother Han, we offer up the celebration of these days of Jeol and Jeol. And I offer this prayer in a gratitude and attendance to our Holy Mother Han. In the name of August Max and Central Family, I pray, Adieu.
All right, so now we will cut the cake in celebration. Yes. Yes, this is a joyous day, everybody, so let's celebrate. Yes. All right, so they will light the candles representing True Parents. Should we sing a song? Happy Jeol Day to you. Happy Jeol Day to you. Happy Jeol Day, dear True Parents, Heavenly Parents. Happy Jeol Day to you. Happy Jeol Day to you. Hey, happy Jeol Day to you. Happy Jeol Day, Heavenly Parents, True Parents. Happy Jeol Day to you. Woo. Thank you, Heavenly Parent, true parents. All right. All right. Formation. Grow. Grow. Completion. All right. Okbansei?
All right, we're going to do 3 cheers of Okmansei. Everyone ready? To our Heavenly Parent, Okmansei! To our true parents, Okmansei! And for the victorious celebration of Jeol Jeol and Jeol Jeol, Okmansei!
All right, welcome up, Pastor Augustine.
All right, good morning, everyone. So yes, today we have an interactive service reading that I'll be sharing with everyone, and then we'll be having discussion about it. The theme of the reading was kind of about response to persecution and hardship, but I felt like it was also very appropriate for today as we were celebrating Jeol Jeol and Jeol Jeol, days that I feel like are representing Heavenly Parents wanting to give us so much of the gift of responsibility and freedom in our lives. And so I feel these readings kind of reflect that it's not so much that we have to stay in the era of course we want to continue to attend our Heavenly Parent and true parents, but at the same time, we are also taking responsibility for our own lives. So I believe there are papers on all the tables. I hope there's enough that you can either share with the partner next to you or perhaps you can just follow along as I read. They will be on the screen. So we have words today from True Father, True Mother, and from Jesus Christ. So first from True Father. This was taken from the As a Peace-Loving Global Citizen, the autobiography, briefly talking about his experience of going to Danbury Prison. On the day before reporting to the Danbury Prison, I held my final gathering of members at the Belvedere Training Center in Tarrytown, New York. Members filled the property and shed tears as they prayed for me. Thousands of people who had followed me gathered at Belvedere that day. I raised my voice and told them not to lose heart. I am innocent, I said. I have done nothing wrong. I can see the bright light of hope rising from beyond Danbury, I told them. Don't cry for me, but cry for America. Love America, and pray for America. I stood before the young people immersed in sadness and held up my fists as a sign of hope. Again, this was from As a Peace-Loving Global Citizen. And then words from our True Mother, speaking on a similar topic. She said in her memoir, The Mother of Peace, sacrificing oneself, even in the face of death, is going even further to forgive and love those who accuse and deceive, is what we came to call the Danbury Spirit. The Danbury Spirit is to give and give even after everything has been taken away, to forgive those involved, then to persevere, knowing something greater is bound to occur in accord with the heavenly will. And then I wanted to add these words, which were the words that she spoke when she was taken into custody. She said to the members, "Do not worry about me. Do not pray for me. Please pray and offer devotion so that you, your families, our unification family, and the will of our Heavenly Parent may be fulfilled. I love you, blessed families." And lastly, I have words from the Bible. These are words that were spoken by Jesus. First is Matthew 5, 9 through 11. This is part of the Beatitudes. I'm sure people are very familiar with these words, but I will say them again. The end of the Beatitude says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. And lastly, a very well-known verse, Luke 23:34. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. So I put together this reading because I felt like there was a great deal of similarity in the words of our true parents in the face of adversity, as well as the words of Jesus, that when the persecution came, they were not asking for support or asking for themselves. Father said, "Do not pray for me, pray for America." And our true mother said, "Do not pray for me, pray for your families." And Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." So I felt like in this time, as we are celebrating Jeol and Jeol, these are days in which it is celebrating the realm of the children's responsibility and the day of Sabbath. So these are the days in which we are taking responsibility for our lives and for the world providence. And at the same time, in the face of hardship, even though it is very difficult and painful to see our beloved true parents go through these terrible circumstances, still this is a time when they are giving up and working just as hard. They're giving up everything for us. They're not concerned for themselves, but this is the time of our responsibility in our lives. They really want everything for us, their children. They want us to thrive and succeed. So I felt like these were very powerful words that are easy to miss. When True Mother said, "Do not pray for me," I immediately saw people saying, "Pray for True Mother," as if she hadn't said it at all. But I felt it was really worth noticing. She doesn't say these things just to be nice. She's not saying it just because she doesn't want us to feel bad. She says these things very intentionally. And so I thought it was worth bringing them together and highlighting the ways in which these are true parents in Jesus who have really so connected with the Heavenly Parent's heart. They really understand that it's not about their individual well-being or their lives, but it's about the work that they have done to give everything to us, the children of our Heavenly Parent. So at this time, we'll begin a discussion. So if everyone could please you are already in tables, I see. If anyone is in a smaller group, maybe you want to join up with a larger group, but if you feel comfortable with the size of your group, then you can start to have a discussion. We'll talk about what thoughts and feelings came up from this reading. So we can begin that for about 15 minutes. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you for your discussions and for your sharings. If you could start to finish up, we can bring everyone back to the center. All right. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. It sounds like the discussions are still strong. So actually, as I was reading through this, having the discussion, one question that came up was we wondered if anyone here had actually been there, witness to that moment when True Father was going to Danbury. Was anyone here? Yeah, we have someone. You want to share very briefly what it was like?
Thank you. Just very shortly, there was a kind of a little rally in Belvedere. So many members came, and Father explained to everyone what was going to happen. And very upbeat, very, righteous, just like it says in the quote. And then, so I stayed behind a little bit and was there right when Father left for the Danbury prison. Just a few members gathered around who'd been working on the legal team, but he was completely clear, completely strong, no expression of sadness at all, just ready for the next step and confident. What in fact happened, we were just talking about afterwards, right? After Father came out and the gathering. So that's the next part of the story. But it's completely victorious. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's really amazing to be able to hear that from someone, the testimony of someone who was there, and to be a witness to that historical moment. Yeah, is there anyone else that wants to share something that came up in the discussions? We have a little bit of time for some sharing.
Yeah. Just a quote at the time of prior to Jesus' crucifixion, the casting of lots for his clothes. What I thought of immediately was the dividing of the church property in Japan, church properties. That they're, in essence, that's kind of what they're doing. They're casting lots for what's left of the Japanese church. Some of you may or may not know, we even had our own graveyard. We can't even bury our members in our own graveyard. They even took our graveyard. Cemetery, whatever. You get the idea. I mean, it's so outrageous. So outrageous. And so the people at the time of Jesus, they saw no value in he as a human being, which is the spirit side of it. They were just focused on the material side. And so these people that are, now they have our property. What do they do with it? It's just material, right? And Satomi is telling me that they were looking for people who were members of our church and left and have some grudge or whatever. Oh, here, you can claim some of this. And then there aren't people really coming forward, right? So it seems like they have all this, and what are they going to do with our property? So anyway, when I saw the casting of lots, that's what I thought of. So.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Anyone else have something to share from their discussion? Something that came up in the reading, or we have one in the back.
I think something that we were sharing at our table was there's a group of missionaries from Korea, HTGs, and they were very adamant about pushing this criteria to pray for mother. And something that I kind of learned throughout the year of NGM was the heart of a parent. And basically the way that I explained to them is, while it's not necessarily bad to pray for mother, her desire was that we pray for our families, pray for our movement. And this is really the heart of a mother, or the heart of a parent. Your parents, or as parents, you really wish for your children to succeed wherever they go in life. You really succeed. You want them to be successful. You want them to really do well. And so when you get ill, or when something happens to you, you feel like, not necessarily like a burden, but you just feel like, I wish my child was doing something else to embetter their own personal family, to be with my grandchildren and to take care of them. And so this is kind of the heart that Mother's trying to express to us. And that's what I explained to the HTGs. This is not like a point to kind of stop and be sorrowful, but actually kind of what Father was explaining, the Danbury spirit, right? During the time of Danbury, it was actually the point in time where we made the most amount of members, because we had such a victorious heart. That's where we brought in the most amount of guests. So it's that kind of spirit that True Mother's trying to really tell us to kind of have. And that's just kind of what we brought up, that we need to have a parental heart, and that Mother has been having a parental heart, and we'd like to have that with us. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that perspective. Has anyone here been praying for Mother against her wishes? Actually, you bring up a really good point, because if Mother says, don't pray for me, and that doesn't feel right in your heart, then I think there's something to it there. It's not literally that praying for Mother is wrong, but it's the heart that you have when you're praying for Mother, or praying for anyone, really. And I think that praying in gratitude for all of the incredible gifts that our true parents have given us, and for how hard she is still working, that is a beautiful prayer, and absolutely worth sharing your heart with true parents, with our Heavenly Parent. But the issue is more about the prayers that we are praying out of longing or out of grief, as our true mother is in such a terrible circumstance. That's the kind of thing that doesn't really uplift our Heavenly Parent or our true parents as much. So praying for true parents, praying for our mother is not wrong. Thank you for clarifying that point. Please pray from your heart, whatever is deeply and sincerely on your heart. Yeah. Maybe we have time for one more person to share. If anyone else feels called at this time. Oh, we have someone in a leadership role.
Yeah, from the reading, I thought it was interesting that just the difference in the three central figures. So, like Jesus' time, these were people who did not understand who Jesus was. And then in True Father's time, they were young people, young members, you guys. and then now True Mother is, for True Mother is the next generation, those who understand. I mean, of course, like True Father is those who understood who he was, who true parents were. And then now is the next generation, where it's more of the blessed families that have already been established, the young people during True Father's time who have established blessed families now. And so just seeing that difference was really interesting, that it shows to me that God's providence has been moving, even though it seems slow, but it's progressing slowly from the point where God was not understood through Jesus, and then the era of True Father, True Parents, and then to the era of True Mother, the only begotten daughter. And so it's just interesting seeing that difference. And yeah, and it just reminded me, I think I also shared this a while ago, or a couple of Sundays ago, where I was also praying just completely, I wasn't angry at God when they announced True Mother's the next steps of the trial. And when that one was announced, I was like, okay, so what are we doing? Do we pray? Do we just keep praying? I asked God, I was looking at the nature, I was like, God of creation. It looked so beautiful looking at the sky, the trees and everything, and I was like, you created all of this. And True Mother is going through this right now. What are we supposed to do as her children? What should we do? And I was like, should we pray? And so I reflected a little bit, and then this answer came. It was like, don't pray. I was like, what? God is telling me not to pray? And so, and I felt, so I asked then, what, if we shouldn't pray, what should we do then? Said, live. And I was like, what does live mean? Because live can mean anything. And it was more of like, live as true parents taught you how to live. And that's what True Father, True Mother, and even Jesus was saying to the people, to God. It's don't focus on this current situation. Live what I have taught you. Live the principle. Live live as God's child, basically. Not just living from this state of where we had been, of trying, but continuing to grow ourselves as God's children and connecting it to this holy day. I thought it was interesting that the Jeol is where true parents declared as the era of parents is completed, and now we're entering the era of children, where children can take responsibility. And this happened in 1991, 2000, and then so it's always, since 2000, it's been, we have been given the freedom to take responsibility as children. And so this time it's like, live freely as children, live freely, live your God-given freedom, basically, as my children, as God's children, basically. And so, yeah, I thought that was a very interesting connection, and I feel ready to live as God's child, because God gave me freedom to live as God's child, as his child, and connect with him, connect with each other too, because we're all God's children. And that's where the beauty is, not just me by myself, but us together. Yeah. I'd like to share that.
All right, thank you, Pastor Enmi. We didn't have a sermon planned, but thank you for sharing. Thank you, everyone, for sharing, those who spoke to all of us and in your groups. Thank you for engaging with this content. I think it's very important and very present for the moment. It's like something to really reflect on in this current era that we're in. And I appreciate you all engaging with it and sharing authentically with each other. So that'll conclude the sharing portion of our service. So I'm going to pass it back to Lanyong now.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Pastors, Pastor Enmi, Pastor Augustine. It's a really beautiful reading. So, yeah, now we actually have some people I would like to introduce. They came all the way from England, so let's please give them a warm welcome. So we have Chris and Sachiko-san from England. Please welcome them to Seattle. And yeah, would you like to say a few words to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so wonderful to see everybody. We are a 2075 couple, like a few of yous, I suppose, and we went back to hometown in Manchester, England in 1995. But I joined here in California, Northern California, in 1978. So I know quite a few people, more people in America than I do in England. Yeah. We have two children, two of each. So 2 boys, 2 girls back home, all living fairly close by. So we're grateful to see them, and so far 3 grandchildren. So that's another level in our life. Yeah, and I feel kind of really grateful to be here today, because we are almost at the end of our trip. We've done a couple of weeks in Alaska, and then we're just finishing a week here in the Seattle area. And I think, for me anyway, I think maybe for Sachiko too, it's a little bit of a completion trip, you know, a bit of revisiting roots, because we both worked in Seattle for a spell and in Alaska. So some 43 years ago we were here. And in fact, actually, although I think you get embarrassed when I say this, but we had our first date in Seattle. rather than just sitting in the center with everybody watching you, we walked down the hill and went to a Chinese restaurant. Had our first meal, right? So we were in Chinatown the other day, but it's changed so dramatically that there's no way we'd recognize where we were. But it was good. Spiritually, it feels good. With neither of us, although Sachiko was at Anchorage for how many years? 3 years, 7 months. So, but she had never been to Kodiak, and I'd never been, and I'd never done any proper fishing. So we got over there and got out and caught some fish, and there's got some photos to prove it. And so yeah, we are deliberately kind of addressing this kind of. One brother said while I was up in Kodiak, he's got a group called the Fourth Quarter. It's like a little discussion group about us old fogies, you know, and the things we're going through and everything. Sorry. That was Hans Moyer. Does anybody know Hans Moyer? But he's, I work together with Hans. And so yeah, so in this fourth quarter, I think we're deliberately trying to reflect, trying to see things differently, trying to understand more, and become better for each other and better parents and better grandparents. So that's what it's about a little bit. Yeah, and today's miracle. Today's miracle was to meet Grace and Tom, because it's kind of a spiritual thing, because they're visiting and we're visiting, and I think neither of us knew that, right? So, sorry, I get emotional. But anyway, God works, right? God works amazingly. So I'm so happy that you're having this service. And I've been told not to say so much. But I'll leave with one thought that was on my mind last night when I knew I was coming here. And it's also been percolating in my mind too. I struggle with the re-emergence of this word in attendance, because I feel there was a period of attendance, but I, in some ways, feel that was a stage or a history. So don't worry, I'm not going to be a troublemaker. I'm just giving, hopefully not. But I just feel like as China got couples, then the way we attend is, as you've rightly said, we live, right? We live. And so this is the most crucial thing. I think maybe it's my old first-gen, old fellow understanding of attendance, but I kind of, as I say, I resist or I look for a new meaning. So I'm quite infamous in my local church for trying to G things up, and also in the UK trustees group, because I'm the last remaining trustee for the UK movement who is first gen. So one of the things that I've found myself doing is trying to encourage the first gen trustees and the movement in general not to get too defensive. Of course, what happened in Korea and Japan is devastating. But and in the UK movement, for instance, we're revising all of our legal structure and how to avoid, being vulnerable, which is obviously wise. But the thing is, we also got to stay on the front foot. We've got to be outgoing. We've got to be, like I was at Foley Square as well. I didn't go to his garden, but when Father went to jail, I was in that crowd at Foley Square. And the thing was, it wasn't kind of dampening us, it was lifting us, it was powering us. So I think we need to remember that and not become paranoid or defensive. We've not done, so that's another point. So I will finally finish with this point. So attendance, right? I prefer the concept of attend dance. So let's dance. Yeah? Purpose of life is joy. I read that somewhere fairly early on. Purpose of life is joy. Of course, there's always struggle, there's always difficulty, and there's always situations. That's been always there. But let's dance. Attend dance. Mother wants us to be happy and joyful. Yeah? So in my local church, I carry around this little speaker, and I connect it to my phone, and sometimes unexpectedly, I put on some music, and I start to dance, and it gets very embarrassing. But anyway, I don't care. But and also, just one memory came back recently is about that. I go to Senegal a lot in West Africa, so that was my dedicated nation. So we sponsor a school there, and there's a wonderful couple there. And last time I attempted this dancing, with nobody else there. But this is a room full of African members, right? So I thought this should be easy. I'll just turn this music on, start dancing, and they'll dance. But the first person down the aisle? The tiny little grandson, yeah? So we just... So, our grandchildren of a certain age, they have no barriers. They have total freedom. And I feel like I've come full circle. So I have that same freedom. So divine principle is true. True parents are amazing. Let's dance.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And yeah, actually, we should say welcome back to Seattle. And we hope you feel at home here. We also want to acknowledge some people we haven't seen in a while, like Dr. Selver and Dr. Selver. Welcome back. Yeah. Also, I noticed Mr. and Mrs. Lowe. Welcome back. Yeah. Yes. All right, so now to close off our service, we will be going into our unison prayer. But before that, just I wanted to say a few words about unison prayer. So, during it, we will be praying more holistically about, the world or our nation or our movement or your families. Or like what Pastor Augustine said, during this time you can pray for, praying gratitude to true parents for everything they've done. Yes, but also during this time I encourage you to pray loudly all together. Just because I think naturally when we pray loudly, we naturally feel more determined, more earnest. But also, Spirit World is listening and God is listening. So if they see us praying loudly all together, imagine, I think they will be moved as well. So I encourage you to pray loudly during this unison prayer, and with determination that we can, overcome our struggles and get through this time. So, if you could all please rise if you're able, and we will go into our unison prayer. All right. Unison prayer, Shi Jak